This video will be on math examples. After you see the math problems worked out, you'll start to catch on how to do them yourselves. So let's get started on MathCat. 3, 2, 1. Let's do an example of how to subtract simple fractions. Let's start with 5/6 minus 6/9. In order to subtract fractions, the bottom number has to be the same. And in order to make the bottom number the same, you have to find the lowest common multiple. Here we'll start with the lowest common multiple, which is 18. And 6 times 3 is 18. And 9 times 2 is 18. Knowing that, we can make these fractions have the same number. To get to 18 from 6, you have to multiply by 3. Now, in order to keep the fraction the same, we have to multiply the bottom by 3 and multiply the top by 3. That doesn't change the value of the fraction then if we do the same to both. Over here we have to multiply the bottom by 2 to get to 18. And if we multiply the bottom by 2, we have to multiply the top by 2. So that the value of the fraction doesn't change. It just gives us the same number on the bottom. Let's do our multiplication now. 5 times 3 is 15. And 6 times 3 is 18. And over here we have 6 times 2, which is 12. And 9 times 2, which is 18. So notice now the fractions are the same value, but they have 18 as the bottom number. And since they're both 18, we can subtract them. So in order to subtract fractions, you simply subtract across the top. 15 minus 12 is 3. And you keep the bottom number the same. 3/18. Now you can simplify this fraction and put it in lowest terms. And you can click on the link shown to the simplify fractions. Let's try another one. Let's subtract 3/4 minus 5/9. Now again, in order to subtract fractions, the bottom number has to be the same. In order to make the bottom number the same, you have to find the lowest common multiple. And here I'm going to give it to you, which the lowest common multiple is 36. And 4 times 9 is 36. And 9 times 4 is 36. Knowing this, let's make this bottom number 36. So we have to multiply by 9. And in order not to change the value of the fraction, if we multiply the bottom by 9, we have to multiply the top number by 9. And to make this fraction over 36, we have to multiply by 4. And if we multiply the bottom number by 4, we have to multiply the top number by 4 so that we don't change the value of the fraction. Now let's do the multiplication. 3 times 9 is 27. 4 times 9 is 36. Minus 5 times 4 is 20. And 9 times 4 is 36. Now we have the same value of fractions, but 36 is the bottom number in both cases. So we can subtract these two fractions. To subtract, we subtract across the top. 27 minus 20 is 7. And keep the bottom number the same. And 7 over 36 is the answer. Let's try subtracting 4/6 minus 4/10. Now in order to subtract these fractions, the bottom number has to be the same. In order to make the bottom number the same, you first have to find the lowest common multiple. The lowest common multiple of 10 and 6, I'm going to give it to you, is 30. And 6 times 5 is 30. And 10 times 3 is 30. So in order to make this fraction over 30, we have to multiply 6 times 5. Now to keep the value of the fraction the same, if we multiply the bottom by 5, we have to multiply the top by 5. And over here, to make the 10 into 30, we have to multiply by 3. And to keep the value of the fraction the same, if we multiply the bottom number by 3, we have to multiply the top number by 3. So let's do the multiplication. Over here we have 4 times 5 is 20. And 6 times 5 is 30. Minus, over here we have 4 times 3 is 12. And 10 times 3 is 30. Now, the fractions have the same value, but they both have 30 as the bottom number, so we can subtract them. In order to subtract fractions, you subtract the top numbers. 20 minus 12 is 8, and keep the bottom number the same. 8 over 30. This fraction can be simplified, and you can follow the link on how to simplify fractions. Let's do one more. 10 over 18 minus 5 over 12. In order to subtract these two fractions, the bottom number has to be the same. In order for the bottom number to be the same, you first have to find the lowest common multiple. The lowest common multiple of 18 and 12 is 36. I'll give it to you. And 18 times 2 is 36. And 12 times 3 is 36. So, in order to make the 18 into 36, we have to multiply it by 2. To keep the value of the fraction the same, if you multiply the bottom number by 2, you have to multiply the top number by 2. Over here, 12 times 3 is 36. And to keep the value of the fraction the same, if you multiply the bottom by 3, you have to multiply the top by 3. Let's do our multiplication. 10 times 2 is 20. And 18 times 2 is 36. Over here we have 5 times 3 is 15. And 12 times 3 is 36. Now both fractions have the same value as the original fractions, but they're both over the same number, 36. So we can subtract them. In order to subtract the two fractions, you subtract across the top. 20 minus 15 is 5. And keep the bottom number the same. 5 over 36 is the answer. And that's how you subtract simple fractions.